Hello, my name is Sheryl Shaffer. Welcome to another episode in the Veterans Helping Veterans TV series. This is our 20-year anniversary show. We've done a lot of programs that are veteran-related topics, such as jobs, training, post-traumatic stress, and traumatic brain injury. Today I'm happy to introduce Vetsin Tech. Their founder is Katherine Webster, and a co-founder is also Galy. And we are going to talk about how Vetsin Tech was started.
Yes, well, thanks, Sheryl. So I come from a military family. My father was Army and Air National Guard all of his life, and I was in tech all of my life, so 16 years at Sun Microsystems. And one day I was watching the returning veterans coming home, and they said they couldn't get a job. And of course, with them all being 20-something these days, we knew that they grew up on technology. So social, mobile, and games, and very tech savvy. So I had an idea to gather some veterans for a hackathon. And I went to Craig Newmark of Craigslist, as he was involved in veteran organizations, and asked him if he would co-host a hackathon with me. And we ended up getting about 40 veterans, mostly student veterans, together in the tech community to come out and help. And it was really an awesome event. At that time, and just even before that, Galy joined us as one of the first employers with Intuit. And I think Chris can speak from his perspective of what he saw when he came. And Chris, would you mind?
Sure thing. Thanks. Thanks for having us. Some of the insights that we've found at the hackathon were from a veteran's perspective. Veterans don't have to code to be in tech. And so we put them with folks who could code and had some amazing outcomes. The other thing is that we realized how daunting from the outside in tech as an industry looks to veterans who may not understand that everything that they do and have done in the military gives them this savviness that because they understand how they experience the different products that technology companies create. And that was really insightful because originally we actually had a difficult time finding or convincing veterans to come to the hackathon, and it just ended up being an amazing event. And then also at the hackathon, and I invited some other friends who are in the industry doing recruiting or talent acquisition. You know, prior to this and prior to Vetsin Tech, we all kind of went at it alone. And we all struggled with all of the same things of why can't we find vets? And all of our hiring managers wanted vets, and they wanted vets who can code or vets who could do other things inside of a technology company, and all of us struggled. And so that was the genesis of part of our vision and part of our mission of really going at this together. And a statement that we use in Vetsin Tech is there's no company confidential when it comes to hiring veterans and their loved ones. And that kind of spawned everything that started 4 years ago.
Yes.
What is the focus of Vetsin Tech?
So at that time, when the employers came together, we decided, Vetsin Tech was born. The veterans asked us, please do more of this. The employers said, please do more of this. And what they asked for were programs in the 3 E's. So we focus on education, employment, and entrepreneurship. And the struggles that the veterans have coming home are, the first thing are translating their skills from the military to civilian. The second are skills gaps that they have, and that's what our education programs address. And finally, they don't have a network. And so we help provide, we bridge that gap into the technology companies and veterans that are inside those technology companies, but we help them build that network as well.
What are some of the employment services Vetsin Tech offers?
So what we provide is a very supportive environment. And many of our graduates or alumni, if you would call them, still come back and help others who are transitioning. And really what that means is we help them with LinkedIn profiles. We review their resumes. We We teach them corporate speak, and we do mock interviews. We help them with elevator pitches so they could actually speak to how their life experiences and their military experiences can translate into the value that they can add to a company. We help them build their network. We remove that daunting element, because there are lots of veterans already in technology, and just because we don't wear our uniforms anymore makes us a little bit hard to find, but we're out there. And so whether it's networking or the community, putting them in front of employers at meetups, teaching them how to speak to employers when they meet them, we have many services to try to help each individual look at the things that they want to do to help find what's next for them.
That's great. What are some of the entrepreneur services offered by Vetsin Tech?
Well, as you know, we were born on entrepreneurship at the very first hackathon, and we continue to do those. We've had a great all-women veterans hackathon at Facebook, and we've done hackathons every year there for the last 3 years with Facebook. We also created a great program called VetCap, which stands for Venture Capital for Veterans, and that came out of a White House Summit for Entrepreneurship. It helps teach veterans about all the finance options that are there, from VC, angel, corporate development, SBA, crowdfunding, and venture debt. And we also just bring the veteran entrepreneurs together to practice pitching for funding. And so those are the primary programs that we have today, but in upcoming we have a entrepreneur boot camp that we're going to launch.
Awesome. Can you tell us more about the role of the Vetsin Tech Employer Coalition?
Sure thing. It started with 4 founding members: Intuit, HP, Cisco, and Salesforce, and quickly grew from there with companies like 10X, Accenture, Microsoft, Facebook. And what we do is, we've already talked about the services that we provide to the veterans and their loved ones. There's also a service that we provide to the employers in the coalition, and we meet quarterly and talk about best practices. We help each other with different difficulties that we might be facing. We share candidates when we don't have a role for a great veteran, that we pass it along. We recently brought in the Apprenticeship USA program with some DOL members to help educate those employers on different programs that could be available to them. So it really is about best practice sharing and continuing to look at, there's 2 sides of this coin. We have to prepare the vets, but we also have to make sure that the companies are doing everything that we can to be ready for the vets.
Please tell us more about the Vetsin Tech education program.
Yeah, sure. Well, we started out first with basic training, which is a term everybody gets in the military, and that was just our introductory classes. So we would do introduction to JavaScript, to HTML, web design, and Ruby programming. And since then, we've developed our full boot camp training, which is the 1 week to 6 week or longer type of training. We've launched a program training veterans on Salesforce, and we're very excited about that. We've so far trained over 100 veterans on Salesforce, and just recently we've launched our cybersecurity bootcamp training with Palo Alto Networks, and there are more programs coming soon.
That's excellent. How do you help veterans across the country outside of Silicon Valley?
Well, Vetsin Tech, boy, after the success of what happened here in San Francisco and the Silicon Valley, actually when we launched, we decided we would pick 5 geographies that had large military and large tech. So right off the bat, we were going to Seattle, San Diego, Austin, Texas, and North Carolina. And then we had veterans raise their hands in New York and LA and saying we have 100 vets here and we have 100 vets there. And then Boston and Chicago also came on board. We've launched in Washington, D.C. as well. So we have about 10 chapters now around the country. They're all veteran-led, and they build the community. And we have people traveling in between the chapters across the country. So it's a pretty vibrant and growing community of veterans across the country.
Can you describe the fourth E, engagement, and how you work with some of the government agencies to support veterans?
So we started with 3 E's, and now we've brought the 4th E in, and really that came about because as we were working with our employer coalition, there were also obvious opportunities to work with the government, whether it's the Veterans Administration or their Center of Innovation, the VACI, the Department of Labor, because the Department of Labor is actually building all of the transition programs for the military. There were just so many opportunities for us to bridge the employers with some of the government agencies. And it turned into things like the Veterans Administration Center of Innovation coming out to Silicon Valley and to Intuit, where we took them through Intuit's Design for Delight process because they were going through a lot of product development on their own side. And it leads to things like conversations we're having around cybersecurity with companies like Palo Alto Networks. And some of the government, obviously cybersecurity is a pretty big deal right now.
Sure is.
And we also think that it's going to be a great jobs engine. And there's so much great stuff going on in the military that it's just a natural marriage.
VIT, Vetsin Tech, has certainly continued to innovate. Please tell us about some of the things you have done to support our veterans that have been unique.
Yeah, sure. Well, we started with the very first ever hackathon for veterans. We evolved to launch the very first all-women veterans hackathon. And then VetCap was very revolutionary, teaching veterans how to finance their startups. And building the coalition, the first to build a coalition of employers in tech, bridging that gap, are just a few of the big accomplishments. And last year, we did our very first gala to bring the tech community together to see the success stories that we've created together in these veterans. We had tables full of veterans that went through our training and veteran entrepreneurs and veterans that got jobs, and they got to see the fruits of their labor. And the employers were all there, the veterans were all there, and the first time we brought everybody together in such a way to celebrate the success and recognize some of the companies that really attributed to this success. So.
How can more companies, veterans, and people get involved?
Well, I think they could get involved first by joining us and joining the effort, or letting the veterans in their own companies know that there is a community out there of folks with similar backgrounds and experiences that are out there helping each other. Another way is to attend our gala, and we have it every year. This year it's right around Veterans Day. Very suiting, and they can find out more by going to VetsinTech.co. And they could support us by making a donation, or they could support us by actually signing up and coming to the event.
That's great. It's a wonderful event. I went last year. Let's talk about some of those fantastic success stories that you've had.
Oh boy, there are so many, but we have a few that I could talk about. One, Ricky Tate was one of our veterans who, he graduated from Berkeley, but he didn't have any tech skills. He graduated in philosophy, Many of our veterans say, gosh, I wish I knew then what I know now about getting a job in tech. And so really started from scratch, really self-taught. He came to our Salesforce training, and it took him 5 times to take that Salesforce exam. But he, as good veterans do, there's that work ethic just to study, and get through that exam. And he kept trying, and he got it. And once he got it, he moved on to the next one and the next one, and he's helping other veterans. So now he leads a group, a Sunday night tutoring other veterans that want to get through that Salesforce exam, which is a difficult thing. So that is just a phenomenal story. He's just landed a great job and making a really great salary. And he's one of them. Dante Burney is another who, again, just self-taught with that work ethic. He was taking Salesforce as well, and then he joined us at Galvanize in San Francisco and went through their 6-month full stack development course. He got through that class. He graduated just 2 months ago, and he's in such demand right now. We can't even get much of his time these days because he's in so much demand while he's going to school and doing some freelance work. But that guy's going to be scooped up really soon. And we have others who just, even when they took that Salesforce exam, we had so many people that were just scooped up because they knew how to use Salesforce as a user. And one guy got a job at Facebook. He didn't even finish certification, but he, because it was 30% of the job requirement to know Salesforce, he landed his dream job at Facebook. We have some great veteran entrepreneurs too that have gone out, and that's probably a whole nother program to talk about some amazing veteran entrepreneurs.
It reminds me of Laura, who kind of helped spin a new business idea out of one of the sessions that we had at Facebook, or Stephanie, who also just landed at LinkedIn. Facebook.
Absolutely.
And so there's lots of really great stories. And I think one of the key elements, again, kind of going back to one of our key learnings early on 4 years ago, was that there are a lot of technical jobs in non-technical companies, and there are a lot of non-tech jobs in technical companies. And we just want to help people understand all of the opportunities that are available to them, and then support them, whether they want to start their own, whether they want to build additional skills and make them more marketable, or whether they need to understand some of the basic fundamentals of building a LinkedIn profile, resume writing, and things like that.
And you had a couple of great hires yourself.
I sure did, and I could think of 2 that come top of mind. One is a social media specialist who also is working with me at 10X and helping drive our talent communities. And Garrett's just an awesome person and just great at what he does. And another talent acquisition director who I hired when I was at Intuit to come in and help run the largest part of the organization that I had. And that was a meetup at Facebook, yeah, at the same event. And and then that network just grows from there. And these folks go out and help other veterans and tell their stories, and it's just been an amazing experience.
Well, that's absolutely awesome. It's all about really veterans helping veterans succeed and get the job of their dreams, get the career that they really want to work in.
Well, and to that point, many of us aren't doing what we did in the military. And when we come out of the military, there is that big question mark of what is my dream job, and what companies should I apply for, and how do I break out of that large mass of a database and say, hey, I'm different because of the experiences and the things that I've learned. And so we're just helping free them up to be able to feel comfortable in doing that.
Well said. What do you see for the future of VetsinTech?
Well, we're definitely growing our training programs, and I see a lot more vets being trained in, especially our boot camp style training. Those programs will grow, and we have 2 to 3 on the horizon right now. And so the training is extremely important, but growing the community. About every time we have an event, it's almost 80% new people. There are 300,000 veterans returning this year alone, so we are here to help them meet hopefully their next employer in tech or become a veteran entrepreneur. And as far as the coalition,
we'd like to grow the coalition, and we're getting many calls because the flywheel is really starting to spin. But we also recognize that folks also want an avenue to the veterans who may not have the capacity to join the coalition. So we're looking at other value-added services like job postings that anybody could utilize, or even veteran outreach strategies, consultation, and program development. Because of all of the best practices that we've learned, we just want to help everybody be able to hire veterans.
That's great, because that's what they're all fighting for, is a chance at the American dream. So you're growing the coalition. What would you like to end on? Your call to action, if you will, as you grow this wonderful nonprofit Vetsin Tech.
yeah, well, please visit us, at VetsinTech.co and find out about the upcoming events across the country. Really, I guess if you're a veteran, join us, join the community. If you're an employer, get involved, and please join our coalition to hire veterans. And
even if you're a veteran who isn't looking for a job,
yeah,
join us to help build the community and help others.
exactly. And also, if there are training programs that some of these tech employers have that we can utilize to get people trained on a platform that will get tens of thousands of veterans hired. We know that is true with Salesforce and cybersecurity, and we're picking the big platforms to get tens of thousands of veterans hired.
Because it's all about creating jobs.
That's right.
Yes.
It's all about giving the veterans the opportunity to get their dream job,
Absolutely.
whether they want to be in tech or they want to become an entrepreneur.
Correct.
So
And those veteran entrepreneurs are going to create companies that create jobs.
that's the whole idea.
Pretty simple formula, right?
Yes. Harder than it sounds,
Yes,
though,
it is.
Do you have any closing statements that you'd like to make?
No, other than we'd love everybody to join us, and please visit VetsinTech.co.
Chris?
Thank you for having us, Sheryl. This is
Thank you.
incredible.
I do want to make a pitch here for veterans that may be transitioning out of the military and not knowing where to turn next. There are many veteran service organizations that you should become involved in and learn about. Off the top of my head, I would say the American Legion, AMVETS, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Vietnam Veterans of America, IAVA. All of these groups exist to help veterans in some capacity or another. I myself, I'm a member of AMVETS and local chapter here in San Mateo County, Vietnam Veterans of America. These groups, this is how we get our benefits. The American Legion, the VFW, they were primary in getting us the greatest GI Bill for education and for buying a home. Yeah. Someone had the vision to think about future generations of veterans, because it is all about helping the veterans transition from the military and become active citizens in their community.
Right. Well, thank you very much for everything you're doing, and thank you for having us.
It's been a pleasure. I love the organization. You've certainly changed my life, and I just want to say, tell us some more about a couple of feature events that are coming up.
Yes, well, we will be holding our next we'll be launching an entrepreneur boot camp, which is coming up in May. We will be having our next employment event at June at a very popular employer on the peninsula. And we do a different E every month. So we go from entrepreneurship in January. February is, employment, entrepreneurship, and then education. And so we have the 3 E's just rotating throughout the year. So you get involved, and it also does keep things fresh for the veterans, because they may be looking just for that one piece of the pie at any given time.
And as a former Employment Development Department Job Service Veteran Representative, I would be remiss if I did not encourage every veteran transitioning out of the military. Please get registered with your local state job service agency, with LVERs and DVOPs. These are vet reps that really want to help you achieve your employment and training goals, whatever they may be. Thank you so much for being guest on our show, and thank you so much for watching Veterans Helping Veterans TV.
Thank you, Sheryl.
You bet.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. You bet.